combining two videos into one book haul, and what I completed what is my progress, and what I plan on reading next month. Right now it's 6/30, 2003, June 30, 2023. So I'm going to be talking about the book haul first. Now, today was a wild month. Oh, actually, this is part of it too. Today was a wild month when it comes to me and buying books. There's a section in Barnes & Noble that I like to call my section, because cheap. Super cheap books. Next time I go and I need to pick up books. Now, I usually go to Barnes & Noble to do some reading and some writing, but the next time I need to go to Barnes & Noble for a book specifically, I am buying a crap ton of those cheap books. I need those cheap books, okay? I'm going to go over all of the cheap books that I bought. One of them was I bought on Amazon, but I'm going to be talking about the books that I bought there and talk about them. Except for this one. This one is not Amazon or Barnes & Noble. This one was at a local bookshop when I went on a vacation. It's a bookshop that specializes in special edition books and very old books. So, like, there's a Dante's Inferno book there that was like $2,500 or $25,000. One of those two. And I was like, wow, that's a good thing. And my parents were like, hey, just grab one book, we'll buy it. And I got The Cat Who Saved Books. So far, I think what I'm probably going to do is reread this book from the beginning. Or, if I still remember, I'll pick this up from time to time. I remember the main premise of the book. The main character, I forgot his name. But so far, what happened is he is about to close the bookshop that his grandpa was running, and then he had to take over when his grandpa died, but then he went through a bunch of legal stuff. I don't know the Japanese legal system, and it really didn't explain too much about like what was going on, but really what he said is he's going to move in with his aunt or something like that after he closes the bookshop. But then a cat comes and he's like, hey, yo, we got to save these books. And then I'm reading the main part of like he's going to go grab his first book. I grabbed this because of the artwork, right? And because it was made by a Japanese person, Sosuke late at night. Sosuke not Tsukawa. Oh my god, it is late, bro. Jeez, I need some more sleep, I guess. I'm usually good with these Japanese names, but not today, I guess. Anyways, I've just been around anime all my life. I know and I care about the Japanese shit, except the legal stuff, but like, most of the Japanese stuff I care about. I even go on Japanese news just to see what the hell is going on in Japan. So, this next book was from Amazon. So, I have a uncle who is a big reader. He said, this guy, his name is Asimov. I forgot his first name. Let me see if I can find it real quick. No, I'm just going to say Asimov. He's like a Russian person. And, Isaac Asimov, the Foundation series. He only read the third book of the series, but I'm the type of guy that if you give me a book series and it's completed, I'll read it all the way from the beginning to the end. With the one exception of like One Piece, because One Piece isn't done with. I just watched a bunch of catch-up videos, and then I said, hey, then I'm going to watch the Wano arc, which is a Japanese arc, but enough of that. I've been reading World War II. Don't like World War I just because there was like a lot of Shen stuff, and it like doesn't really talk about fighting it. And I talk more about like people just being really depressed. So they don't glorify World War One, or at least the people in World War One didn't glorify the war. Like in World War Two, America heavily glorifies the World War Two. Like the amount of well, not like glorifies it in the sense of like, you know, this was a good thing that happened. Glorifies it and like we did a lot of shit. So Americans didn't do a lot of crap during World War One, because I think 6 months we were in the war of World War One, I believe. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah. Vietnam. A lot of people need to talk more about Vietnam, especially since there's just like a lot more information. I think it was 3 years ago when they said, "Oh yeah, the Vietnamese did not attack an American ship. That was a false flag." And most people don't know about that. The reason why we got into Vietnam War was because of communism, because we did not want to spread communism. But it like talks about in the beginning of the book. I've only read chapter 1, and I think halfway of chapter 2. It talks about how there's Marines who are ready to fight and kill when they got onto the southern Vietnam beach. But you know what happens? Freaking they have a welcome sign that says South Vietnam welcomes the U.S. So, you know, people were like, what am I doing? What am I doing? I'm supposed to fight and kill, but I'm not doing any of that. The next book, that book was from Barnes & Noble, and these next two are... Okay, so I don't know how the best way to explain why I bought this book. I guess the best way I can explain it is I literally bought it because of the cover and because of the fucking author's name. Honor de Blase. Here's the thing. I don't like French, like, language. French people are good, and, like, the French stories are good. But the only problem that I have with French stories is they're very detailed and they're very long. This is probably, like, 700 pages. Let's see. No, like, more like 600 pages full of nonfiction, and I'm okay with that, but, man, that's a lot to get through. If I'm being honest, this is like the whole series. I'm probably going to read this book last out of all the books that I have, or I'm just going to probably slowly read it. Whenever I have a lot of time, I'm just going to straight up read it, because here's the biggest problem that I have with this book. This book is thick, and I don't like spining my book, so I don't open it. I'm like very careful, and like this book is just too thick, and like I don't know, even if I get to like page 300 and I drop the book, I'll say that's an accomplishment, because this book is a thick book. I think if I like go at it in a way that's like pure, just whenever I have time, maybe I'll read it for 5 minutes here, then 3 days later I'll read it for an hour, but then it's then a minute the next day or whatever. This will probably take me 4 years. I'm not even going to lie. I'm more of a nonfiction reader, even though I just talked about 3 books so far, and out of the 3 books, 2 of them were nonfiction. But I'm mostly a nonfiction reader, except when it comes to specific research material. That's a whole other thing. But this will just take me a while, because how big the book is. This is a thick book, okay? This would be good fire starter, okay? Like, this is like a good fire starter. Not saying I would burn books. I don't typically burn books. And not in the way people say they usually burn books. I don't burn books because they're political. I just, you know, if the book is like $1 on eBay and it's all tattered up because it's all tattered up and it's $1 and it's not like some historical good fiction, I don't mind throwing it in the freaking fire. At least it'll serve another purpose than being thrown into a landfill. But anyways, this one, how do I explain why I bought this? Dead Souls. That book was $10. Vietnam one was about $10. This was $5. I bought this because of the cover and the title as well, but also because of how thin the book is. This is called Dead Souls by Nikolai Gogel, And it's one of those, this and Lost Illusions is one of the Barnes& and Noble's classics. This is a classic book. This is, wait a minute, this was like, I think, 1800s? Somewhere around that I think is when it came out. Oh man, I'm gonna get so many people mad because I don't know if it's early 1800s or late 1800s. Oh boy, oh man. Okay, anyways, enough of me rambling on. I thought this was interesting when I wrote Russia's first major novel, and I'm like, oh, this is Russia's like first major novel, and it's still in the U.S. There's a lot of sanctioning when it comes to Russia, so that's why I was surprised by it. But yeah, anyways, 11 minutes in, gotta move on. So, Seneca, one of the nonfiction books that I'm reading, and it's one of the short ones. And I've read this about 3 times before, and I like to read it every 2 years, because every 2 years I feel like I have a different mindset, and sometimes that mindset needs to be reset into the correct mindset. So when it comes to like, I would say, I've told people this, I would say this book is the best, the best book, nonfiction book, except the Good Book, which is to me is a nonfiction. To a lot of people it wouldn't be, but whatever. The Good Book is the best book. This is the second best book. If you need a book that to make you realize that you're wrong about how much time you have, you need to watch this, okay? Not watch this. Read this. Seneca on the Shortness of Life. Here, let's see if I can find the paragraph real quick, so I can say it word for word. I can't find it. So I'm just gonna bring up the one quote that I remember, and if this is not exactly word for word, I apologize. But Seneca said, "Life isn't short if you know how to use it." That's the thing. Life isn't short. I can read 1,000 books if I really want to, and still have time to do other things. But it just depends on how you use your time. I'm currently writing 3 books right now. I'm editing 1 book. I'm writing a nonfiction book, and I'm writing a fiction book. I have time to do it, so I'm doing it because I know I have the time. Some people need to realize that they have time to do this. We all live the 24 hours. Maybe cut on sleep a little bit. Maybe make simpler meals. Maybe eat them fast. Maybe skip breakfast because breakfast takes 20-30 minutes to make the meal or whatever. Or maybe, 10 minutes to cook the eggs, get everything ready for the eggs. You gotta put butter on, and then, gotta put it on a plate, and you gotta eat it, and you gotta throw away your plate, and then wash your dishes, or put your dishes into a certain place. And, we all have times. You just gotta cut some stuff out. Sure, everybody should get 8 hours of sleep, but, maybe sometimes you only need 4 hours that day. Get shit done, okay? And this definitely will be going on to my 1,000 book challenge, even though I've read it 2 times already. This will be a 3rd time, but hey, I'm telling you, best book out there, other than the Good Book. A Brief History of Korea. I bought this because I wanted to do some research on Korea, because I want to start adding more characters into my book that aren't too... Well, I have like some English, some American names. I have some characters that are Slavic, Japanese, Chinese. Don't have any Korean names, except my one book that I've been publishing on the daily on Web Novel has a Korean name on it called Jiwoo. And, I added some Korean elements into her, but I need to know more about Korean history. And I've learned a lot so far. So a lot of, go figure, but a lot of things that are Asian came from China. A lot of the nationalists is the word I was looking for, say that there's a god, and then the god was born, and then the god made a goddess so they could mate. No, actually, before that, it was like a cow. So I don't remember all of the history, but I kind of have a fundamental of where the nationalists would say. And the nationalists would say they did not come from China. Korea is Korea. And a lot of the non-nationalists, or people who live in Korea, but like look at it more like a scientific viewpoint, say a lot of their culture did come from China, but there was a separate part where we said, hey, we don't want to be Chinese, we are Korean, so there you go. So yeah, and then I'm currently reading the Sylla and Goryogo kingdoms. Very interesting. I find it interesting that Korea could have been 3 nations at one point. That's what it's going over. Here's one of my daily reads that I should be reading more of, but like literally, if I have like 5 minutes because I'm taking a crap, or I'm about to go to bed and I have enough to read 3 pages, I read Value Economics. I'm currently on chapter 6. I know the guy personally, or I guess I won't say too personally. I guess right now we're in a group of men, so I call him a brother, but if you like look at it like technically, I guess you could say he's more of an acquaintance because we're not like super close. But I will get him on a podcast. I know Slash Slavs has not gone anywhere, and I need to put more content out for Slash Slavs, and I just need to do stuff. Yes, I know, but I will get him on. I'm going to interview him. I'm going to dissect why he made the book, because the book was very interesting. One book that I read whenever I need like some help is Make Time, How to Focus What Matters Every Day. So since I've been reading this book, I haven't been reading this book a lot, but the main thing that I got from the book, and I'm only on page 36 out of like 300 or 250, is that you gotta, so for starters, make one thing your main objective for today, and structure your day to meet that one goal. So okay, so for example, right? Since I'm an author and a lot of people are writers, they can like kind of understand what I'm talking about when it comes to writing. So if you want to write a book, right? Let's just say you need inspiration. Play a game that you think will give you a lot of inspiration. So for example, for me, Fallout New Vegas right now is giving me a lot of inspiration. I took 2 things from my book. That's very nasty if you can hear it. I apologize. But I took 2 things from the game and put them into my book, and they work quite well. But then you also got to be like, okay, I need to take a 10-minute break, but then I need to also do something productive within the 10 minutes that would somehow get it done, the book done faster that day or whatever. So you just got to like structure one thing in your life right now to like get somewhere. So, okay, no one's coming now. Okay, good. I'm making a video. I don't want to redo this whole entire thing, even though it would be probably a lot more, let's just say, better presented. So I'll get this book done with eventually. My thing was, I was going to write about Japanese soldiers and their horror stories when it came to like fighting in the war. If people don't like to talk about it, but the Japanese were ruthless to people, but they also had very ruthless living conditions. Like imagine not being able to eat for 3 days, right? Because you have to conserve your rice, and when you did eat, you would only get 1 cup of rice. So what a lot of people did is, in like Myanmar, they would like eat, I was about to say bugs, but technically, spiders or they wouldn't eat spiders, they would eat what is that word? I remember the word arachnid, but not when I'm trying to, tarantulas. Yes, they would eat like tarantulas. They would eat like snakes, you know. And then having a cup of rice is like, let's just say, an enjoyment or like a privilege that they could have every once in a while. So I don't know if I'll write that book, just a compilation of Japanese soldiers and their horror stories, and then like explaining like why everything was so bad and whatnot. But I mean, hey, I got a resource in case I want to. And I think it's interesting, like, just hearing out, like, what Japanese soldiers had to go through. Because we hear a lot about the American side, because English in America, but, you know. This book I got for $1.25, and I think I talked about it in a couple of videos, but I don't know when I'll read this. But when I do, I will probably read it within a week. Like, here's the thing. As a conservative, this guy named James Comey kind of, let's just say, is not on my good side. Because I feel like what he did was not a higher loyalty. He kind of like screwed over the American system by releasing falsified evidence. But that's my personal opinion. But, you know, it's, I do not let politics dictate what I read, though, you know. I'll read a book from a murderer, and I'll read a book from, like, Gandhi. I'll read Gandhi's book if he has one. I don't care your political stance or your mindset when writing the book. Let me read it. Another one that I say I don't let politics dictate when I read. I don't know when I'll get through this book. This guy's autobiography is good. I'm on challenge 2. So far, I feel like I don't know when he's going to talk about it, but I think soon he'll talk about him applying to the Navy SEALs and him working towards the Navy SEALs, but I'm not 100% sure. So, let's go over what I'm going to be reading. And, yes, so, what I'll be reading. I'll be focusing on 3 major books this month. And 2 of them are nonfiction, and one of them I'll probably get done within the week. But I will focus on the challenge still. I won't give up, even if I finish one book and be like, ooh, I'm so good at finishing this book. Then I feel fine. So it'll be Seneca, reading this on the shortness of life. Got to. The second book I read daily, or I try to read every other day, is Value Economics by Sam Walton. Good book. Very good book. I really want to talk more about it, but I just have a lot of questions for him, so I'm saving it for the podcast or the interview or just whatever. Maybe even a written interview, and I'll share his responses. There's a lot of value in this book, okay? A lot of people read books for fun nowadays, and a lot of people who read nonfiction books read it because they want to gain knowledge. But there's a lot of stuff in here that you could use to, like, use now and better your life. That's the best way I can say it. And then the second book, I'm very interested in this book. I'm very interested in Dead Souls. It's also like only 380 pages or something like that. It's very interesting. Something is compelling me to read this. So those are my 3 books. It's been 25 minutes since I've been recording this video, so I don't expect people to watch this. This is all for me. So anyways, great night.